Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
What's up, guys? Welcome to First and Goal. This is the first episode. It's going to be like a around the horn type show. And for our first premiere episode, we've got Meats, QB Stud, and Coop going to face off. All right, without any further ado, let's get into topic one. Meats. First topic on first down is going to be the toughest Madden 21 division. Now, this is regardless of owner or who takes what team. What teams or what division do you think is going to be the toughest in Madden 21?
Okay, Madden 21 toughest division, regardless of owner, just based on the four teams. I'm going to go with the NFC West. All four of those teams are loaded for long-term Madden success. Maybe less so for the Rams, who are going to have cap issues almost right away. But those other three teams, they're really loaded. The Cardinals are young. The Seahawks have a lot of talent. The Rams have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. And the 49ers have a lot of young talent as well. So I think that division is loaded.
All right, I like where you're thinking. What do you think, QB?
I would agree. NFC West is definitely an extremely tough division, but I would actually look, if you're just talking about long term over the course of a franchise mode, I would look at the AFC West. All four of those teams are absolutely ridiculous projecting long term and being able to build. All four have absolute studs at receiver. All four have young options at quarterback, except for the Raiders, who make up for it with 296 plus speed wide receivers and a stud power running back. All of them have really good talent on defense, and they're all very, very young. The only problem is that you have to deal with Patrick Mahomes in that division, which again just adds to the insurmountable issues that run into you if you select the AFC West.
All right, so we've got both the West divisions look to be the toughest. Coop, you going to break the tie here?
Yeah, I actually had the AFC West and the NFC West both kind of jotted down, but yeah, I'll throw a different one in there. I'll go with the NFC East.
Okay.
I think that one was a pretty tough one in Madden 20. I think it looks like it's going to be tough again. Of course, the Giants are probably the weaker team in that division, but the other three are pretty stacked with talent, and that's going to be a tough one again.
I'd agree with that. Other than the Giants, I think they do look pretty good. What do you think over there, QB? He's going with the East.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say even the Giants have plenty of building pieces. They've got a young quarterback. They've got Lorenzo Carter, who's a really fast linebacker that they can use on defense. I don't know what his change of direction is to decide if he's going to be a user or just a pass rusher that you can develop pretty quick. They've got Leonard Williams on the defensive line. They've got Jabril Peppers, who's going to be a really good user. They've got tons of weapons on offense and defense, which I didn't even mention Barkley. So the NFC East absolutely is another terrifying division to wind up in.
What do you think about all that, Meats? You ready to change your answer?
Still got to go with NFC West here. All three of these divisions are going to be really tough. It'll be interesting to see where the Giants go in the team draft because a lot of people may overlook them. They're probably one of the more underrated teams coming into this draft, but they have a young quarterback in Daniel Jones. They have maybe the best running back in the game, Saquon Barkley. And like QB said, they have, Jabril Peppers and that defense. So it will be definitely interesting. And I think that team may or may not break the division.
Yeah, I
And
definitely think.
we didn't even mention the fastest tight end in the game, most likely, in Evan Ingram. So I mean, yeah, that team is solid. That entire division is solid for sure.
That's a good point. With that, with the change of direction this year and the way it seems to be with agility, I definitely think the Giants could surprise people. All right, so that's enough for topic one. Let's move on to the second down topic, which is going to be the best owner team fits for Madden 21. So just based off team gameplay and the owners we have in the SML, what do you think are the best matches that we have right now? We'll go to Coop for this one.
Yeah, so I know Royce is picking pretty high in the draft, and he's planning on taking the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that'll be a pretty good team for him. He's got CMC there to kind of get the offense going, and probably some other decent pieces. So I see that being a good fit for him. If Dan ends up with like the Jags or the Steelers, or in the AFC, there he could be rolling in the right direction there too. I think both of those teams would fit him, and Jags have a lot of cap room where he could move around and get some more players.
Yeah, I could definitely see the Steelers falling to him, especially after a couple of the mocks that we've done. What do you think about that, Meats? What do you have for the best team fits?
Aside from the obvious prime time and the Colts, I'm gonna go with his brother Field, and maybe an interesting pick here, the Packers. I think Field fits the Packers really well. He loves to air it out, and they have aired out Aaron Rodgers. And then maybe you get 2 good seasons out of Rodgers, and then you go over to Jordan Love, and he's got a good young mobile quarterback that he can develop and grow with, like he had with Deshaun Watson this year. Um, and that Packers team has talent across the board too. Maybe wide receivers their weakest position, and that would need to be addressed almost immediately. But that Packers team is tough, and I think it fits Field very, very well.
I think that's a pretty good observation there. I was thinking the same thing with the Packers, that he might actually like them just as much as he did the Texans, being that he's got that mobile quarterback. QB, what do you got?
All right, so I've got two. The first one I know I've said 1,000 times, and that's going to be Dump and the Washington football team. I think I mentioned in our group mock draft that if we did a fantasy draft just over everyone, I think that Dump's team would look a lot like this Washington football team roster. If you compare it to the Jaguars team that he built up this cycle, you've got two young stud pass rushers. You've got really fast athletic linebackers and safeties. Everyone always forgets about Troy Apke with 94 speed, really good change of direction as a free safety. He's the fastest guy in the safety pool. So he's got a lot of weapons there. He loves to hit a burner at wide receiver, just like he had Chark with the Jaguars. He would have Scary Terry on offense here with a young quarterback that he could develop just like he did with Stalker. That team is going to hurt with the loss of Geis, but it's exactly the type of team that he did and utilized very, very well this previous cycle. But my sleeper best fit actually is going to be Colt and the Texans. If you look at what he tried to do, by the way, he did a great job with the Cardinals team this last cycle. And what he did really well was he utilized the speed at wide receiver, which the Texans have a plethora of, but he also tried to mix in a combination of mobile quarterbacks and strong arm quarterbacks. But because he kept going back and forth, he wasn't really able to develop anyone. They have Deshaun Watson here in the Texans, who already starred as almost the ultimate package for exactly what he wants to do. So all this work that he put in on that Cardinal squad, developing them, is almost already done on the offensive side of the ball. So you really just have to shore up the defense. I think that is a perfect fit for next
Yeah,
cycle.
I got to agree with you there, and I definitely think they could be available when he's picking. Coop, what do you think about that? You think that the Texans are a good fit for Colt?
Yeah, like QB said, they really do match what the Cardinals had at the end of this cycle in terms of a young quarterback with a strong arm that he can work around and a ton of speed. Um, Defense, I'm not as familiar with this Texans team, so that is a little bit of a question mark in my book. But I think the presence of Prime in that division is going to result in those three other teams falling. So maybe the Texans do fall that far, even though they are probably one of the top talented teams in the draft.
Okay. So here's something nobody's really mentioned. Now I know you said, Meats, that you think the Colts are an obvious fit for Prime. Now I know because it's his favorite team, they're an obvious fit. But what do you guys think about the actual team, the Colts? Do they fit his gameplay? QB, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he's used that same team for all these years, so his gameplay, I know he says he calls the same plays and everything, but his progression, his gameplay has built with that Colts roster. He's able to utilize the speed on offense, the run stoppers on defense, so that he can cheat on pass coverage. Um, Now, that being said, and I hope he doesn't hear this because I'm pretty sure he's got his mind made up, but I wouldn't want to change it. That Chiefs offense is literally perfect for what he likes to do. He loves to use the mobility of Luck in the past to be able to buy himself just a little bit more time to allow that speedy wide receiver to get open, which is exactly what Mahomes and Hill and Mecole Hardman do. It would definitely be dangerous and scary if he got a hold of that Chiefs offense. And he's the type of owner that can still build around and work with those cap issues they're going to have. But that being said, yeah, that Colts team is a great fit for him. They're very, very young on defense, and on offense, they've already got weapons that he can utilize straight off the bat.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree that there are more dangerous teams for him picking there at number one, but obviously I think we're all pretty much sure he's going to Colts. All right, so let's move on to third down. Surprise Madden 21 teams. So here we want to come up with maybe 3 teams that didn't do so well in the last cycle of Madden that you think are going to surprise everybody, and maybe 3, if you got any, that could end up on the other end of the spectrum there at the bottom. Coop, let's start with you.
Are you wanting to go more with teams or owners
The
for
owners.
this category? Owners. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna throw you out there and go with the Mad
For the
Bomber.
bottom. Okay, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, I know you came in and did pretty well with the Steelers there at the end, but yeah, I'm interested to see you starting out a full cycle with your own team. You've
Coop getting
shown
some
some
bonus
skill
points
there,
there.
so yeah, and I think Meats might go a little further in the playoffs this year. I know he won like the most regular season games, but I think he might take that step forward and maybe get to some Super Bowls. Um, and then I'll go with No Overlord. He did pretty well there, and then had to take the one season off, and then came back strong. I think he's going to be somebody to watch out for again in this new Madden.
Yeah, Noel's one of the guys. When I came in, it was Caustic, so I only saw a little bit of Noel, but he definitely looked like he was pretty good. I didn't get to face him, but his record kind of spoke for itself. All right, QB, what do you got? Surprise teams.
So surprise teams on the good end. I agree with Coop. I've got yourself as one of those teams. You
Everybody getting
played really
bonus
well
points.
at the end of the cycle, but I think that you'll be able to repeat that and continue to play on and do, at a high level. I've actually got ZZ as one of my potential surprise teams,
Okay.
especially if he nabs that Chief squad. I think one of his biggest complaints has been that he hasn't had a quarterback all cycle. He will have the quarterback for the entire cycle, so definitely someone at the very least to watch out for with all that firepower. And then my last one is maybe a surprise to those of us that have been around for a while, but I know a lot of guys in the league are kind of new. So I'm actually going to point out Grams here. Grams was
Okay.
a perennial Super Bowl contender for a half of this cycle, but his entire time in the SML prior to the latter half of this cycle. So a lot of the new guys may be sleeping on him, may not be aware of exactly how good Grams is as an owner. So definitely another one that could surprise some of the new guys. I actually do have a potential surprise negative as well, and actually I would pick Noel in that spot.
Really?
His offense, from what I saw this last cycle, was very heavily reliant on 4 guys, really. And that's going to be Angelo French, who had joystick, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Scotty Miller. So Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are just going to speak for themselves. You can understand why they're dangerous weapons. He also had O.J. Howard, who's a beast. But Scotty Miller had 94 speed and really high agility. So he was able to get that guy on slants
Hmm.
and underneath routes, able to develop him pretty well into a very nice offensive weapon. He is at pick like 11 in the draft, so he'll be able to pick a team with plenty of weapons. But from what I saw in his gameplay, either he did a great job of cultivating his play style to those players, or that was just his maximum, type of roster that he can operate with. So I would look on him to regress just a little bit.
Okay. If he does get the Buccaneers, though, he gets Gronk instead of O.J. Howard, which is a nice upgrade, I think.
Yeah, and I think Ronald Jones is a great substitute for Angelo French too.
Very.
Ronald Jones is one of my favorite backs to use in Madden since he came into the league. So if he picks the Bucks again, and he very well may, that's great. He did a great job developing Jameis Winston, but after Brady retires, it'd be interesting to see if he's still able to do so with a new quarterback.
Absolutely. All right, Meats, what teams you got?
So real fast, I wanted to hit on Grams. QB Stud brought it up, and honestly, when I was looking at our members for this question, I didn't even consider Grams because it I'm an OG if you want to say that. I've been around a while. Graham's been around even longer than I have, and I think anybody that's been around as long as I have, maybe even less, nobody's going to be surprised when Graham's gets a top 10 team and goes 13-3 the first season. Nobody will be surprised by that, except for maybe those new guys. So I don't see Graham's as really that surprise category.
Okay.
As I have two guys that I have my eye on for Madden 21. My first guy is going to be PJ. I've been a big PJ supporter for his entire time in the SML, and I've been pretty vocal about it. I played with him in a few other leagues, and he's constantly making deep playoff pushes. I don't know if he's won any Super Bowls in those leagues, but he's always, if not Super Bowl contender, that next tier down.
Hmm.
And he did not look like that in the SML. In 9 seasons, I think he lost over 100 games, one of like 4 or 5 teams to lose that many. But I'm expecting him to turn it around. He should have a better team than the Lions. I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Hey, let's not
Uh,
knock the Lions now.
oh, hey, I
So,
love Matthew Stafford, but come on, you got to admit that team didn't have much to work with most of the cycle.
well, I'm a little more worried I may
Um,
end up with the Lions.
hey, it happens. Bomber, you turn around. My second guy to keep an eye on is Terrible Two Step. He's an OG too. I think he might have been in the league since Madden 16, our first cycle. So he's been in longer than me. He struggled this year. 9 seasons, just one playoff berth. And that was due to the entire NFC West having a down season. He won the division at 8-8. He was in my division in Madden 19, and he kicked my ass a few times. He's a good player, and I expect him to really turn it around next cycle. Um, and if he doesn't make the playoffs every season, he's going to be a contender for that 6, 7 seed for the majority of the cycle. And I expect him to win a couple playoff games too.
All right. Should be an interesting season to see how some of these pan out. We'll have to take a look back at this episode and see if anybody was right. Moving on to topic 4 and our last topic. So, Madden 21 dropped their early release trial today. I don't know how many of you guys have played all 10 hours. It's almost possible, I think, as of now. But do you guys have any early impressions on it? Meats, let's start with you.
I don't have EA Play or EA Access or whatever they're calling it now, but I have been watching streams like Bomber. I watched your stream earlier today. Um,
Bonus points for that.
honestly, yeah, honestly, what I'm seeing so far, and keep in mind I have not had hands-on time with the game yet, but what I've seen from streams, it doesn't look as different as the trailer made it look. I know they were surprised. They were big on this breakdown tackling mechanic. I saw it a handful of times. I saw a lot of the same animations that we've seen in years past. Um, as for change of direction and users, that's going to be more of a hands-on thing. I can't really say. I mean, I heard you complaining about it, but
Yep.
you were using the Steelers or the Bucks or
I
something.
had the Lions and the Bears, so I had both ends of the spectrum there with Jared Davis and Roquan Smith.
Right. So you said there was a big difference with Roquan, and there should be between guys that are known to be athletic like that, and other guys. Another something that you mentioned on your stream, in years past, it really has just been go get a linebacker with 88 speed that's 6'2", and you're fine, and you got a good user for the entire cycle. Um, it'll be really interesting to see how guys use her this season. Maybe it's using more of that sub safety. Maybe it is trying to get a higher change of direction linebacker, or just sticking it out. Maybe guys go to the D line. I didn't see a whole lot of guys using D line in these streams, but it'll be definitely interesting to see how many of the SML guys are primary D line users. I'm not expecting very many.
Yeah, I definitely noticed a little bit of D line, but for the most part, everybody was still using middle linebackers and safeties. Coop, did you got a chance to play a little bit? I saw a little bit of your stream. What did you think?
Yeah, I played a couple games. I actually played NYT a couple times, real quick. I'm trying to think. I used the Lions once, and I also used the Rams. So, from looks wise of just watching a stream, it it looks almost exactly like Madden 20. It doesn't really play like Madden 20. The change of direction is big. Some stuff I liked was like the one-on-one wide receiver DB interactions, and even some of the pull blocking. I saw some guys pick up some blocks that I noticed that they would have missed before. And then the O line blocking and the D line rushing. That's a good change. I didn't see enough of like the X factor stuff to see if like those moves that will be blocked out a bit will be a big difference or not. But yeah, change of direction's huge. I was using some slow linebackers and trying to switch directions. It was like they were like stuck in mud for a second.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's going to be interesting to see if people do switch to like D line user, safety, or stuff like that. But my impression of it so far was I was having more fun with it than Madden 20. But we'll see how the updates go and stuff like that. There were some weird animations where guys would kind of like glitch and move a little faster than they should when an animation triggered. I know you mentioned like suction tackles, so like
Yep.
kind of some stuff like that and catches was a little bit weird, but I mean they have time to fix all that, so it's good so far.
I definitely agree with you. It seemed better. QB stud, what do you think? And specifically, Coop just mentioned that he liked the pull blocking, but I think I saw somewhere where you weren't as happy with it.
Yeah, so I generally run more of a finesse run style game. I don't really run power run that often anyway, so it generally doesn't affect me. But I did run some tosses just to test it, and at least on toss plays, I noticed that it was really bad. Just linemen out in space and fullbacks just in general were just as lost as they have been this cycle. So that was something that maybe the teams that I used just had really bad pulling guards and really bad fullback, which is absolutely a possibility. And so maybe it's better if they're competent players, which actually I would be happy with. There should be a difference between a great pulling guard and just some random guard off the streets. You know what I mean? But the two
Absolutely.
biggest changes that I noticed were already covered. It was a change of direction and catching animations, specifically one on one. Already covered the catching animations, so I'll just point out that it's great. It's basically nothing changed except there's more animations that are possible. So there's less like, oh, nothing happened, which I appreciate. If you're going to be animation dependent, having as much of a diversity of animations as possible is very important. But what we didn't talk about with change of direction, which actually I noticed first on your stream and then I noticed it when I played as well, is how change of direction is going to impact running the ball.
Mm.
So previously, just like with a user you get 88 speed linebacker, boom, you're happy. Running back, get a 93, 94 speed running back. None of the other stats really matter except for agility, just a little bit. Alvin Kamara looked like he had joystick out there whenever he was going up against you. I think he's got like 95 change of direction or something like that.
Yep.
So basically, you're looking at a point to where now we have a higher diversity of viable running backs because Kamara in Madden 20 was trash in opinion. 89 speed, I don't care what his overall is. 89 speed makes him almost unusable. But if he's able to go and move like that guy did against you regularly,
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden now that's a new avenue for a perfectly viable running back, which again is what we need to be able to have if we need to have as good a team building experience as possible.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gonna open up the rosters a little more. Uh, Makes guys, like you said, a little more viable with that big gap in change of direction. Seemed to be, to me anyway, in that hour and a half that I played, change of direction was the biggest difference maker in a roster. All right, so
And also,
oh,
real
go ahead.
quick, let me get in before we finish that up. There is a difference between elusive back running style and power back running style. I don't know if you've played with any power backs. They aren't even if they have higher agility, they're not as shifty as those elusive backs. So guys that are used to running backs like Leonard Fournette or something like that that can run really fast and still be able to move a little bit while being a power back, I think are going to handle a little different. So everyone just be aware of that and understand what type of runner you have at running back.
Yeah, absolutely difference. Coop, you actually one of the games you were playing, I want to say you played against Derrick Henry. Did you notice if he was any different with that change of direction, more of a power back?
Um, yeah, so I wasn't really noticing him like changing directions a lot. He's still like a power runner, so he was trying to run over people and truck and stuff. But there was one time where he got loose on the sideline, and I was trying to catch him with a safety, and I need to look up and see what that safety speed was. But I took control of the safety and was making a perfect pursuit angle, to catch him running down the sideline. And when I got close to him, he was like outrunning me. And I know his speed isn't that high. I did notice in the beta that, like, even just running in a straight line, players didn't seem to meet their rating speed. And I'll just need to test that out some more to see if that still seems a little bit slower on defense or not. But that was one thing I noticed. But yeah, Henry, I think he scored 3 touchdowns on me, but I was kind of just messing around and not paying a lot of attention all the time. But yeah, he's still a great player. He was great in Madden 20. I don't know if he played head-to-head games against anyone that used the Titans, but they would literally just run every play, and you couldn't stop him from getting a first down.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he'll be just as good this year. So real quick around the table here, what do you guys think? Up or down on Madden 21 so far? Obviously, way too early to give a definite answer, but just from the early previews, what do you guys think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? We'll go Meats, QB, and then Coop.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a quick thumbs up. So far, so good, I guess.
Nope, looks like we lost Meats
EA
for a
put out
second.
last. So I'll just repeat myself.
Okay.
I said I think it'll be hard to regress from the product that EA put out last year. So it sounds like the improvements that they've made are going to be good. We'll see if they break throughout the year, but so far so good in my opinion.
Okay, QB.
So I have a big thumbs up, but it's still not a confident thumbs up. They do not have a good track record with title updates. They constantly break the game throughout the year as they touch it more and more. So it's not a confident thumbs up. But if you look at the progression from Madden 19 to Madden 20 to Madden 21, this is a huge uptick in just a couple years' time. I know a couple years sounds like a really long time, but nowadays when people are just worried about monetizing everything, the improvements they've put in, where their focus is at as far as strictly gameplay goes, without changing the physics engine that they use, is about as good as you can ask for.
All right, and Coop, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up too. And yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on what QB said. Like, some of these previous Madden games they've actually played pretty well at launch, and then you start getting into updates that they kind of do, for the MUT crowd, and it kind of gets worse as you get into like October, November. But this one's playing pretty well so far. At least last Madden felt like the gameplay was a little more fun. You could kind of use players, move them around a little better. The change of direction kind of counters some of the problems that it had, but so far the changes they've done, I like them. There's still stuff that they could fix, and it's not great, but we'll see how the product is later. But it's got a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, that's about the exact way I feel right now. I'd say it's a thumbs up for me. So there you have it, SML. 4 thumbs up so far in the very early stages of this trial, but it's got to be at least trending in a positive direction. And with that, that's going to be our 4 downs today. And our score is going to go Coop with 31, QB Stud also with 31, and OG Meats gets the first win. And we're going to go ahead and give you your 30 seconds of fame here. So you got 30 seconds to rant. Let us have it, Meats.
All right, so I had this one planned out. We have to kill the narrative of teams being coded for success or coded for failure. You get a handful of guys, they'll say, this team's coded for failure. I can't win with this team because they're coded for failure. I wholeheartedly disagree. Individual outcomes of plays, jump balls, broken tackles, things like that, those may be coded, but that doesn't, code the team. A good user is still going to beat a bad user. I don't care what teams they're playing with. You could give the best user in the game and you put them on the worst team and vice versa, and that best user is going to win every time.
All right, and there's our 30 seconds. Hey, I want to thank you guys. Coop, QB Stud, Meats, thanks for being on this first episode of First and Goal. Hopefully we'll have you guys back. We're going to have a little leaderboard here to track who's got the most wins. But appreciate you guys being here. Hope everybody enjoys the show. And with that, let's sign out.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.